Hello everyone. I hope your preparations for November 22 are going well. You're preparing yourself hard for the examinations for CA Intermediate and you're taking good care of yourself as well. This video we are recording to discuss with you the CA Inter EIS SM RTP that has recently been issued by ICAI. At JK Shah classes, I am sure in whichever branch wherever you've studied, you have already been mentored by one of the best faculties for EIS and SM. Now once the hard work of doing the classes is over, your focus should now be on preparing for the mock tests and for the final exams, and this RTP will definitely be an important part of our preparations. I hope you find this session useful. In this session we will discuss how the various questions of the RTP are given to us. Obviously the solutions are also available, but sometimes when a student looks at the RTP question, sometimes you have a mindset where you think, okay, this could also have been an answer. Is this the right answer? Sometimes there have been various instances in the past where ICAI certain questions answers have been actually marked wrong as well in the answer sheet. So you just kind of start having those confusions. So we thought this video would be helpful for you as well. Plus sitting down separately to see the RTP and solving it might take a couple of hours for the entire student. So instead of doing that, this entire video of about 1 hour where we spend together, and then that will be helpful for you to quickly go through the entire RTP. So we often tell the students in the batches that you should see the RTP, and go. In fact, current plus last 1 or 2 term RTPs is something that you must see, is something that we tell our students. Now similarly, even current term, we thought that why not discuss the RTP directly. Now in the RTP discussions that we will now be starting off, please ensure that what we plan to do is, in the discussions we will be sharing with you the questions. Obviously the solutions are there. We will also try and show you for each of the questions the relevant page number of the ICAI mat, okay? Because ICAI, I personally believe the best for EIS SM, the best way to study would be from the ICAI mat itself. That is how we conduct the lectures also. So if you have a cross reference with the ICAI page number, that automatically will also help you in revising with this RTPs and revising these questions. Some of these questions, if you find tricky, you will know exactly where the answers are. You don't need to do the hard work of looking up. That has already been done by us. Okay, so I hope the session becomes useful. Enjoy it and have fun. Okay, let's start. First part, EIS part, what we are starting off with, like the question paper pattern. Now the recent trend is where you tend to have a case study based MCQs. Earlier we did not have case study based MCQs coming into the examinations, but given the May 22 term and onwards, May 22 term, it was the first time that case study based MCQs had come in the ICAI examinations for EIS SM, and given that as a base, we now expect that to be continued at least. So we should have at least one case study based MCQ, and that is how they have also given the MCQs in the RTP as well. That's also like an indication for us that we need to prepare case based MCQs also. But be rest assured that all the MCQs will always have a direct answer. It's just that the MCQs will be created linking it to the case studies. Okay, so we will start off with the EIS part. We will keep discussing as and when certain things come up for discussion. We will stop by and discuss further in between as well. First, the multiple choice questions part. Okay, if you have the RTP downloaded with you, preferably in a printout format, it will be even more beneficial for you. If you don't have it in a downloadable format, in a printout format, at least if it's on another device, you can parallelly look at it while you discuss here, because obviously the ICAI fonts are smaller, so it might not be that convenient for you to look at, but if you parallelly looking at both, then it will be convenient for you to refer to. Since 1990s, RS Limited has been one of the leading companies in India dealing in the business of pulses. Lately in 2019, since 1990, 29 years now. Okay, lately in 2019, with the purpose to expand its business, the management of RS Limited decided to start its business in the field of spices as well. So they have been dealing in pulses, they're diversifying, and they're entering into the business of pulses. Okay, spices. to develop infrastructure and procure necessary equipment in order to promote cross-sell activities. The management uses various data analytic techniques. The management uses data analytics. You can relate data analysis, chapter 2. Okay. The management uses various data analytical techniques to predict customer behavior, predictive customer behavior, okay, predictive analysis, and probability of equipment failures. Based on the results of this analysis, the management of RS Limited, okay, so you analyze, you expect the chances of the equipment failure. You are looking at your current equipments, you look at the probability of the equipment failure, and based upon the results of the analysis, so you kind of felt that your existing equipments may fail, because of which, based on the results of the analysis, the management selected a supplier and obtained the requisite equipment from it so as to increase the production and to provide quality products to its customers. So obviously we kind of had an probability and possibility of an equipment failure, and to overcome that we wanted to buy a new product, a new machinery, so that that risk is kind of managed for us. At that time, XY Limited, okay, had a policy to offer a discount of 2% to its customers if the cash payment was made in 7 days. Okay, so that kind of 2 by 10 net 30 FM, we revise. So that 2 by 10 net 30, same thing comes up here, 2 by 7. So the payment, if made within 7 days, you get a discount of 2%. However, RS Limited made the payment of rupees 5 lakhs after 10 days. Okay, so you did not take the discount. That is a problem. You could have paid the payment 3 days earlier and taken a discount. Using RTGS services, RTGS. Okay, and did not avail the discount offered by XY Limited. Okay, RS Limited installed these new procured machines in its various units, and to operate them, the workforce of RS Limited was strengthened. Okay, so obviously when you had new equipments, to operate those new equipments, you also needed new staff, you needed new workforce, and accordingly the workforce was also strengthened. Furthermore, RS Limited decided to expand its business ventures through online mode by collaborating with various renowned e-commerce websites where it can offer its products to customers under various discounts and schemes. Okay, so you kind of had a tie-up with various portals like Amazon, where you'll get your products listed and you're selling through these e-portals, which are going to be your agents, which are going to be your selling agents, through which you will be selling your products in the market. These websites will display the electronic catalog of RS Limited. Electronic catalog, display the electronic catalog. If you remember, components of e-commerce, okay, e-catalog. And in return for RS Limited shall pay these websites a suitable commission charges from the sales revenue generated from these sites. Okay, so it's a standard commission agents scheme that they have, where they're going to be tying up with various websites. These websites are going to be the selling agents, so they're going to be selling on our behalf, and against that we pay them a commission. With the business expansion, the management of RS Limited noticed to bring out following changes in their existing automated setup. Okay, so based upon that, they have planned to make certain changes. So what are the changes? Their organization's security policy shall be made more robust, and BCP shall be formulated. Business continuity plans, BCPs, if you can recall the discussions. So the security policy had to be made more robust, more comprehensive. The policies had to be upgraded, and BCP was formulated. So they did not have a BCP earlier. That is something that is impliedly being understood here. To mitigate the risk of unauthorized entry, unauthorized access, okay, in their working environment, the RS Limited switched its manual attendance system to biometrics. Okay, so they had a manual based attendance systems and they shifted that to biometric systems. That is another control measure that they upgraded. To enhance the physical security, they deployed security guards, installed CCTV cameras to supervise the visitors' access. So these were additional controls that they had placed to manage the various risks applicable. So that's the case study for us. Okay, we now go on to discuss questions based upon the above scenarios. Okay, the company RS Limited decided to buy new equipment for its latest business of spices. Which risk management strategy is being exercised by the management if they decided to buy the new machine? So why was I buying a new machine? Because I had a probability of the machine failing. I had a risk that the machine may fail, that was given in the paragraphs. So I had understood the probability or that the risk of the equipment failure, and based upon that I had decided to buy a new strategy, buy a new equipment. So if you have an equipment that may fail, that is a risk. And now if you replace it with a new equipment, what will happen? The risk is, are you tolerating the risk? Are you accepting the risk? No. Tolerate is accept. No. That's a wrong answer. Okay. Are you terminating the risk? Are you transferring the risk? Definitely not. Are you treating the risk? Now between B and D, In case of D, when you treat the risk gets reduced. In terminate, the risk is totally eliminated. In this case, the risk was eliminated. Why? Because when I had put a new machinery, the risk was totally removed because I had totally replaced the old machine with a new machine. So it was a termination strategy that you had followed. Okay, which type of core banking services to make the payment is being used? Okay, remittance, collection. So it's not collection, it's not clearing, it's not advances. You had to know it. This was remittances. Okay, chapter 5. Okay, the first one was chapter 1. If you're referring chapter wise, this was chapter 1. This was chapter 5. For new business of spices, RS Limited decided to collaborate with renowned e-commerce websites. Which of the following term related to e-marketing fits best in this place? Now, if you're looking at the options, okay, give you another 10 seconds where you can look at the question yourself and also solve with me. So for new business of spices, that collaborating with renowned e-commerce websites for selling its products through online mode. When these e-commerce websites are going to be selling my products, they are going to be buyer aggregators? No. E-auction, e-distributions? No. They are going to be e-malls, if you can recall. E-malls may be specialized or generalized. Amazon best examples we have discussed in classes. Okay. Considering the expansion of business, RS Limited uses various data analytical tools to predict customer behavior. Use data analytical tools to predict customer behavior. Which advanced data analytical tool you think has been used by the company? Now, advanced data analytics, if you remember, chapter 2, this was chapter 4. Chapter 2, we had advanced data analytics, we had data mining, we had artificial intelligence, machine learning. Machine learning is not even given here. Data mining is here, but data mining is to extract hidden patterns. This was predictive analysis, where you kind of predict behavior. Obviously, this was not numerical analysis or data warehouse at all. It was between C and D, but it had to be predictive analysis, where you were predicting customer behavior based upon analysis of the past data. Okay. RS Limited decides to restrict unauthorized access in this company by changing its employee attendance from manual to biometric system. Which control deals with biometric authentication? Now, this should be relatively very easy, dealing with chapter 3. So they have one question from each chapter getting covered here for us. Okay. Obviously, it's not processing control, it's not communication controls, and if you're smart, you will know this is actually boundary controls for us. Are you with me? These are the questions. So your MCQs had 5th was C, 4th was C, 3rd was A, 2nd was A, and the first was B. So you had a B, A, C, C. Okay. Okay, then moving on to the descriptive questions. Now, in the descriptive questions in the RTP, you have got questions from each chapter. You've got about 2 questions from each chapter. That's how the RTP is given to us. Each of the questions we'll try and read, analyze, and decipher. Question 6. Risks are not always countered by implementing controls. Based on the type of risk and its significance, certain risk management strategies can be used in isolation or in combination. Briefly explain. I think this should be a very good indicator for us. The risk management strategies. Okay. That can be used. So, if you remember, what are the risk management strategies? Chapter 1, obviously. Chapter 1, if you remember, this is second part of the chapter that we do in parts, where you discuss risk management, ERM, and internal controls. Risk management strategies, there are 4 strategies in the new book. Old syllabus had 5 strategies. So, till November 21, the book had 5 strategies. May 22 and onwards syllabus has 4 strategies. You will either, my class discussions, if you can recall, either you will reduce the risk, or you will transfer the risk, or you would avoid the risk, or you will accept the risk. So there are 4 strategies that you may have. You may tolerate, accept, treat, mitigate, transfer, or terminate, avoid. And the best part was this answer was given in the first MCQ itself. So the first MCQ 4 points, they were given there itself. That is how, obviously this was already there in our RTP as it is. In the first question, first MCQ, the 4 options, these were the 4 answers. ICI Mathways, this is page 1.30. If you want to have a quick look as well. So you can tolerate, terminate, transfer, and treat. Next, as technology is taking new forms every day, the processes and standards adopted by various enterprises should consider different set of IT related risks and challenges from time to time. Discuss them. IT related risk from time to time. Okay, so you had to consider, this is talking about IT related risks. IT related risks, chapter 1. So you had sources of risk, you had types of risk, normal business risk and IT related risks. IT related risk, if you can recall all those points, outsourcing risk, concentration risk. Okay, then you had the risk of multiple types of controls required, multiple hiring such people will be a problems, social engineering techniques. Okay, this was given in page 1.25. ICM at page 1.25, types of controls, types of risk. After that, within that, business risk, and then you had IT risks. An organization has well implemented ERP. Mr. Karan is hired to conduct an audit of ABC Limited's ERP system, for which he decides to segregate the audit in 2 parts, audit of data and audit of processes. What aspects shall he consider under these audits? Now, audit of ERP is a topic in which you had actually got one main question, which was the questions that the auditor will ask. After that, you had a small topic from which a question can be created, though it's less important, I used to say, but a question can be created. It was discussed in the classes where we said that the audit of ERP, you will have to check first the processings, you will have to check the functionality, the processing, you will have to check the input of data, and you will check the data, the physical access of the data and the logical access of the data. So that was the auditing of data, where you had 2 aspects, physical checking and logical access. And then you had the audit of processes, where you would check the functionality and the inputs. There were 2 points in each of them. This is covered in page 2.35. Okay, just to give you a quick reference to the page number. So you see, this was mentioned as an SQ. Auditing of data, you can have physical security and access control, and then auditing of process, you had again 2 points. These were the 2 points and 2 points that were covered in our discussions. Page 2.35 of the mat. Next, the ERP environment of an organization consists of many process modules. These processes have either a direct or an indirect impact on the financial status of the organization, out of which controlling module is one such module. Discuss its key features. In short, you had to discuss the features of the controlling module. Features of the controlling module, ERP modules, controlling module. So you had cost controlling and profitability, revenue controlling, cost element accounting, cost center wise, job order wise, product wise, process wise, profitability, profit center wise, all those points coming in. Okay, this is page 2.42. just to give you a quick look into it. Okay, controlling module, the cost element, the cost center modules. Okay, then you had activity based, internal order wise, product cost controlling, profitability and profit center analysis. The points, we're not going into discussing the points of the answers because we're just trying to help you locate the points, pick the question, the answers to the questions. Okay. And obviously the question, all of these topics have been comprehensively covered in the discussions in the classes, so that should not be an issue when you prepare for them. Chapter 3, an efficient and effective telecommunication network gives an organization the capability to move information rapidly among employees. Discuss the types of network and also its benefits. Discuss the types of networks and its benefits. Types of networks, if you remember chapter 3, we had two types of networks: connection oriented networks and connection less networks. And the benefits of networks: we can share data, we can share resources, we can have greater resilience powers, we can have greater communication capabilities, and reliability improves, resiliency increases. We had 5 points in the benefits part. This is going to be covered in page 3, chapter 3, page 3.17 to be precise. The two types of networks and the 5 benefits. So you will have greater data sharing, resource sharing, computational power increases. Okay, reliability increases and communication capabilities increase. For an organization XYZ Limited, data is a critical resource which needs to be managed and controlled properly. Discuss various data resource management controls. Okay, so I am sure being a November 22 student, you should know that there were heavy amendments in the syllabus from November 21 to May 22. And you should know that none of the amendments were asked in the May 22 exam. And you should know for your November 22 exam, amendments are not important. As my students would know, they are very, very important. Okay. So all the amendments, I am sure you would have already gone through. But even within amendments, this is a topic that can confuse a lot of students. Just to clarify, in chapter 3, you have got management controls and application controls. Within management controls, you have 7 controls, out of which one of them is data resource management controls. Yet again, within application controls, you've got 6 points, and out of them, one of them is going to be database management controls. Now, data resource management controls and database controls, a student get very easily confused. The question here was asking you data resource management control. So this was asking you the control from the management controls part. There are 3 controls that are in any case common between these two topics. Access controls, in this case this is integrity controls, update controls, and concurrency controls. And then you have the data definitions, and lastly you have those cryptographic controls. Okay, so we will discuss the data resource management controls. This is going to be given to us in 3.39 and not the 3.55. Okay, data resource management controls has the definition controls, backup controls, access controls, update controls, concurrency controls, and the quality controls. Those are the 6 points in this topic, but be careful on this part, huh? Data resource management controls, while you prepare, keep reminding yourself, because both are amendments, both are important. One of them will come in the exams, and the last thing that you want to do is, you've prepared the amendments well, you've prepared both the questions, and you fall into the trap of writing the other one. That's something that you don't have to do, so be careful on that part. Okay, chapter 4, we're moving on. Okay, e-commerce, m-commerce, and the emerging technologies. The first question: it has been observed that in most of the organizations, computer nodes in their network remain underutilized, leading to wastage at large. Identify the technology that may address this issue and further discuss its benefits. Now, if you understand, the computing resources remaining wastage at large, how can you utilize the underutilized resources? Utilizing the underutilized resources was grid computing. So this was asking you about grid computing and the benefits of grid computing. Grid computing, benefits of grid computing, chapter 4, second half. Okay, to be precise, the page numbers, it's going to be covered in 4.6061 onwards. But grid computing and the benefits of grid computing. So grid is how you can connect all the computers and utilize the underutilized resources. It will give you better utilization of underutilized resources, greater computational powers, access to additional resources, better reliabilities, better management, and you can create virtual organizations as well. Okay. Question number 13. In an e-environment, all the e-commerce, m-commerce transactions have various risks associated with them. Discuss the various risks that prevail in an e-business environment. E-commerce related risk, you had several points in that. Okay, so right from data theft, privacy issues, piracy issues, delays, quality issues, transactions not being recognized, audit trail issues, denial of service issues. There are a lot of points that we have discussed in this topic. Okay, there are a lot of points that we have discussed in this topic. To be precise, the page number is 4.32. These are the risk issues, page 4.32. Okay, privacy issues, quality issues, delay in goods, okay, internet issues, security issues, the various points that we had discussed, several points that we had discussed in this. And the second one, even the grid answer. So this was grid computing, underutilized resources being used, and the benefits of grid, use of underutilized resources, okay, resource balancing, additional computational power, so parallel CPU capacities, virtual organizations, access to additional resources, better reliabilities, and better managements. Chapter 5. The technology components of core banking systems allow the banks to deploy new state-of-art and innovative banking services as prescribed under cyber security framework of RBI. You know, your eyes should really lit up with this. Okay, so clearly, again, it's an amendment, and clearly the minute they tell you cyber security framework of RBI, you know which exact topic is it looking for, which amendment. Highlight key measures that are required to implement network security and secure configuration of core banking systems. Now, within cyber securities, you had various aspects. So you had network security, you had application security, and then you had the earlier 2 points of disaster recovery and monitoring. Okay, so this is not asking you the entire cyber security, but this is only asking you about the network security part of the cyber security topic. It's the amendment topic. Okay, it's the amendment topic, again an important topic. So this clearly is giving you indications that your term amendments will be there. Be rest assured and be prepared, amendments will be there, a part of your paper, and we definitely expect more than 10 marks of amendments, minimum 10 to 15 marks of amendments in your paper, and I hope those amendments click in. Okay, to give you a reference of the page number, this is going to be found in page 5.19 of the ICI MAT. Most of the banks offer credit card as the key product. The process flow of credit cards may have certain amount of risk that may differ from bank to bank. Discuss various risks involved in credit card process for banks. Okay, and the corresponding controls. So you had to discuss credit card related risk and controls. Credit card was 553 in the class manner that we discussed. So you don't have to discuss the credit card processes, you have to discuss the risk and controls, the table of points that we discuss at the end. Okay, credit card, you had a lot of points similar in CBS. Okay, in CBS, if you can remember the first 2 points differences. Okay, and then there was the PDC, the masters in the PDC, and then the interest points, the 3-4 points that we had picked up, the common points. To give you the exact page numbers, once again, this is going to be 5.42 and 43. Just to give you a look into that also. Okay, that's how it starts up at the bottom. Credit line setup and setup in CBS. And then the masters in the PDC and the interest calculations, these were the common points that we had picked up when we discussed. Okay, standard answers that have been given by ICI, they're all more or less cut paste from the ICI MAT itself. So there is nothing extra that we get to read into this. In fact, in the SM part, there will still be interesting things to discuss, but the EIS half is relatively more straightforward. And this is why I keep telling students that, you know, answering in the exam hall, the EIS half will be relatively more easier because the questions will be more straightforward. SM, they will be a little more application based. You will have to put a little more of your mind into this and solving them. So it will be a little more time consuming as compared to the EIS half. The EIS half is going to be a lot more easier for you to handle in the exams. But any term, any of the halves, the ICI may, kind of give you a twisted half. So never enter with a preset mind. You should always enter with an open mind, look at the paper, and whatever hindsight feeling that you get, you accordingly decide which half that you start off with. To start off with the SM part, okay. SM part, once again, they have given you a case study based MCQ, but they've also given you a couple of non-case study based MCQs to give you an idea that it's not going to be only case study based MCQs that they're going to be testing you with. And we have a few back-to-back questions descriptive after that, most of them being a little tricky and a case study based. So we will kind of try and decipher them and discuss further. Let's move in. Strategic management, multiple choice questions. In July 2014, the Fresh Air Hospitality and Resorts launched a major project called Fit in Future. Okay. After being in losses for 3 consecutive years. Okay, so this is a very clear indication that the business is not doing that well, and it's in losses for 3 consecutive years. According to analysis by senior management, many customers were not returning and repeat sales of rooms were low. So this is clearly a bad indication for any hotel or a hospitality industry, because you want to have your repeat customers coming back. So when they're happy with your services, they keep coming back, and if they're not coming back, that's an indication that they're not happy with your services, which means there's some lacuna. Okay. The costs were also high, with a lot of wastage in kitchens. If the losses were allowed to continue, the survival of the organization was doubtful. So it clearly tells you that you were in a position of where from here onwards, if you did not do anything, you would have to ultimately shut down the business. This is taking you towards retrenchments. Okay, your positions are declining, so you will have to do something like a retrenchment is what you were wanting to go into. Which part of retrenchment we'll discuss. Fit in Future project was organization wide, employee driven, that focused in reversing the trend. Reversing the trend. Converting a loss-making business into a profitable venture. That's turnaround strategies. And find out how the organization can survive, make the business survive, stop the bleeding, stop the negative cash flows. Focus was to provide high-quality services while finding new ways of delivery to improve customer satisfaction and reduce costs. So we had to find new ways to deliver, increase customer satisfactions, reduce cost. The idea was to create a conducive organizational culture and work climate. So you wanted to improve the work culture, the work climate, the environment for the people and employees and the customers and the guests, so that they had a happy stay and a happy time that they spend in the properties. Okay. At the time, Shailja Mehta joined the organization as the new resident manager. Okay. She brought with her considerable experience in improving the quality of services in restaurants, banquet sale and room reservations in a lot of parts. Okay. She immediately set about spending 2 months talking to staff on the front line, followed by a series of meetings where discussions were held about bringing a guest first approach. So she immediately took steps to, kind of revamp. She spent 2 months talking to the staff to make guest first approach. Your first and foremost priority are the guests. Okay. Some of the staff members expressed their frustration that their suggestions on improving services were often not heard, making them demotivated. So the staff motivations were down because their views were not heard earlier before this. The new manager noted their concerns. Over time, she offered enthusiasm and inspired staff to exert them for the good of the organization. This line is exactly from the book. And people who have read from the book will be able to pick up what is it indicating towards. Okay. She offered enthusiasm and inspired staff to exert them for the good of the organization. As an outcome of the project, it was decided that both internal as well as external interactions, customers will be called guests and treated accordingly. So it was decided that now onwards we will not call customers as customers, they are going to be called as guests. There were several agreements that reducing wastage and improving the quality of service shall be chief priority from top to bottom. So these were taken up as their top priorities: reducing the wastages, improving the quality of services. It was decided that the team leaders shall always work together with frontline staff for speedy decisions, Focused training programs were organized to train the frontline staff to remain well groomed and courteous to guests. Accordingly, a new system was put in place from January 2015. So the problems were found in July 2014 and a new system was put in place in January 2015. As a result of the efforts, the satisfaction level of guests improved and their loyalty reflected in form of increase in repeat sales over next 2 years. There was an increase in repeat sales over the next 2 years. After 2 years, while the organization was able to make some profits, they were still low considering the capital employed. So in July 18, 3.5 years later, Shailja Mehta suggested to make extensive study to radically redesign the existing ways of doing work and deliver services. Radically redesign are the words, if you know what it is indicating towards. Okay. So, based on the above scenarios, let's follow the multiple choice questions. Fit in future project can be best related to improving leadership, improving morale, coordination, or exactly what it is, turnaround strategy. That's exactly what we were doing in future. We were trying to turn around, make the business survive, convert the loss-making business into a profitable venture. Name the strategic tool to measure and set goals for wastage in kitchen as per best practices. When you set a tool to measure and goals based upon best practices, you know what that is called. Okay. Benchmarking. The leadership style of Shailja Mehta, you know that words, transformational, it should immediately click you. Transformational style, motivational style. The suggestions made by Shailja Mehta in July 18 is the radical redesign part. July 18 is the radical redesign part. Okay. So the suggestions made by Shailja Mehta in July 18 relate to BPR, business process re-engineering. That's what it was. Radical redesigning. You have to pick the right words. Transformational was the motivational style of leadership. It's a line from the book itself that they have given, Shailja has used. Okay. BPR involves fundamental rethinking and radical redesigning. Benchmarking is the process of comparing your measures with the best practices of the industry. To succeed, Fresh Air Hospitality and Resorts needs to deliver better value to the customers, yes. Improve efficiencies, yes. Fix minimum profit percentage over cost, not necessarily. So I will go with 1 and 2. That's what the right answer will be. Because, you know, profitability is not the important point right now. When you are in a loss-making positions, your first objective is to convert the business, stop the losses and make customers flow in. You create value for the customers, you improve your internal efficiencies so that the business can survive and the revenues start coming in. Okay, that was the case study based MCQs. We have a few more MCQs in our book. Which of the following in the RTP, which of the following is more radical organizational design and is called a non-structure? Okay, which is a more radical organization which is called as non-structure, which virtually eliminates in-house business functions. You know it, so say it. Okay. So it's the network structure, which is non-structure, where there's no fixed structure as such. Majority of the business functions and activities are going to be outsourced. That's the network structure. Okay, moving on. Smooth Ride and Comfort Ride are two car engine component manufacturers. They're two component manufacturers. Both units are almost identical in every aspect. As a strategic manager of Comfort Ride, which process would you suggest to the management so that it can have an edge over its competitors? Okay. Which process will you suggest? Management business process, strategic business process re-engineering, management re-engineering process. The rest are nothing. There's no such, you know, strategic business process you may still think as a topic, but the rest are not a topic also. And strategic business process also, we don't specifically talk about it. We talk about it in parts. So this was the ideal answer. But this was still an MCQ where you had to explore the alternatives and then decide. Okay. Which approach of R&D to implement strategic decisions is a glamorous and exciting strategy, but also a dangerous one, where you do something new? That's glamorous, but exciting also, but dangerous. So if you are an imitator, it is definitely not. If you are a low cost provider, definitely not. It is when you have a new technology product that you're launching. So when you come up with something new, that is where you take something risk. That is where it is very exciting for you, but at the same time it's going to be very dangerous for the organization. Okay, Jaipur Mart is an online marketplace where people from all over Rajasthan come and sell their goods. It is in charge, goods is charging 0 commission for listing goods, but they take 1% of the sales per month from the seller. Okay, so people from all over the state, all over Rajasthan will come and sell at Jaipur Mart. They will not charge any commission, but they will take 1% of the sales. That is what they are going to, what is going to be their part of the commissions. Okay, this is business intent. Obviously no intent nahi hai. That's the business idea. No business definitions. That's the business model. That's how you're conducting the business. The way you conduct your business, that's called business model. Okay, Hupo, a honey brand, decided to start a new brand for making honey ginger. Okay, it's a honey brand. Okay, that is going in, it's establishing a new brand for honey ginger candies, honey ginger candies, to meet the rising demand. Identify their growth strategy. So which strategy are they going for? Now obviously from being a honey brand, you're starting a new brand with honey ginger candies. This is not conglomerate because this is not unrelated. This is not horizontal because it's not the same product. Okay, ideally, this is where you have to understand and think a little. Ideally, some people could have said that this is a vertically forward integration. Yes, some people could have thought it that way, but this is not where, you know, you're going ahead and making something. It's not where this is the only use of honey, or this is what I was making honey for. So it's not that I was making honey only for this purpose. Honey was being directly consumed by my consumers as well. I am further using honey to make other products. Okay, so it's not getting vertically forward, it's actually concentric diversification. Concentric is where you enter into joint products, byproducts, ancillaries and components. Okay, so this is where you enter. This is again a related diversification, but you're diversifying into related products, but not in the same industry. It's not in the same industry moving forward or backward. It's a connected industry, but not in the same industry. So which is why it's not vertical also. It wasn't horizontal in conglomerate. That's how you had to eliminate and understand that it was concentric. Okay, I hope you get that part. Okay, then this was the SM MCQs. We've done the EIS MCQs and the descriptive questions. We've done the SM MCQs. We now move into the SM descriptive questions. SM descriptive questions, each of the questions, there are certain things to understand. Okay, so for each of these questions that we go into, there will be certain discussions to understand as well. In fact, for the SM descriptive questions that we go on, there will be certain things to explain as well. As and when they come in, we will keep discussing. Chapter 1, each organization must build its competitive advantage keeping in mind the business warfare. This can be done by following the process of strategic management. A standard line from the book. Considering this statement, explain the major benefits of strategic management. They give you a very easy, straightforward, direct question. Benefits of strategic management, chapter 1, as it is direct question. Page 1.9 is the page number, if I remember right. Yes, page 1.9 is the page number. And that's how this was a direct question. So this was like a lucky bonus question. Huh? Don't expect too many of those kinds. Okay, discuss the challenges faced by public sector units while designing for their organizations. Discuss the challenges faced by public sector units, okay, while designing for their organizations. Now, if you read this question carefully and then you recall, so chapter 1, last part, we have strategic management for non-profit organizations, medical, government and educational. In the government organizations part, they have gone on to explain that government organizations today also do strategic management, but further in the discussions it goes on to say that strategic management in government organizations are not as detailed, enhanced and developed as in the private organizations, because they have to follow a lot of hierarchies, they have to take a lot of permissions, they do not have the same level of autonomy, so they can't do their own kind of diversifications. That's an issue. And you know, if they do a lot of strategic management and earn profits, suddenly there is political parties come in and influence. So all that is given in the book. in the second paragraph, the last paragraph of the chapter, that is. Okay, just before the summaries. This is page 1.18. Okay, just to keep showing you the reference page numbers. This is the last paragraph just before the summary. Okay, this is where second last paragraph, actually second last paragraph on the last page of the chapter. Okay, page 1.18. Chapter 2, distinguish between market development and product development under Ansof's product market growth matrix. Again, a very direct question and an easy question. So you had to explain the two strategies and in what situations you will follow those strategies. So market development is when you're launching an existing product in a new market. Product development is when you have existing market and you're launching a new product in that. Okay, so again, a paragraphs about both of them clearly there in the books. You just had to write it, a direct question, an easy one. A reference page 2.38, in fact 3738, that's how it is placed. Woodworld Limited is a company manufactures a variety of household furniture items. They offered traditional designs, low cost furniture items to low income group customers. That is what they used to do. They used to sell traditional items. During the last couple of years, the company has been observing a fall in the market share. So it's kind of a situation has become difficult. They are losing their market shares. This is due to the change in the taste and preferences of the people. Okay, designing better quality, increase in purchasing power towards the household furniture. So now people are looking for more higher end or mid range products. They're not looking for low end traditional products. The customers are switching away from traditional designs and material that was the backbone of Woodworld Limited. So you know what was the key point on the basis of which you were selling is something that the customers have now become indifferent towards. So they're not liking your product anymore. As a CEO, what can be the strategic options available with you? Now when you sit down to think, you will not get a ready-made answer of this question in the ICAI chapters, and you will be like, sir, this is out of the syllabus. But this is out of the syllabus for only those people who do not read the ICAI mat carefully. Okay, now in your chapter 2, at the back you have certain back questions. Question 6 on page 2.56. Etrix Limited is a company engaged in the designing, manufacturing of instruments. During the last couple of years, the company has observed a fall in the market share. This is on account of shift in the range. The customers switching away from the instruments that have been the backbone of Etrix Limited. As a CEO, what can be the strategic options available with you? Okay. So this is an answer that you should be very careful about. These are back questions, and which is why I wanted to highlight in this session to all of you. Please definitely see the back questions. A lot of people have been very naive and they have asked me in classes, sir, if I only do the back questions and go, will that be enough for my preparations? And I feel I'm like, you're in CA intermediate levels. Even in foundation that wasn't applicable, so don't even expect that to be applicable for intermediate levels. But obviously you have to see that, and you have to see that for such questions. But is that enough? Obviously not. So this question number 6 from the back of chapter 2 is the same question that they have. We'll discuss the answer for this. They had a similar they have the same answer copy pasted. Okay, the story has only changed. So the story part more or less has changed a little, but as a CEO, what you have to do, the points are ditto as it is as what they've given in the RTP solutions. You need to invest in new product developments. You can either go for a product development because your old products are dying out. You can go for a merger or a takeover, acquire or take over a competitor. That is how you can do a external growth. Or you may do an unrelated growth and diversify into other areas, totally unrelated diversifications. Or you may divest the existing products, but they also say there's no need to divest immediately because there is still demand, but the demand is falling. So in the long run, you may consider divesting the business because you can see that it does not have too much of a future. But since it's still giving you profits in today's time, you don't have to sell it immediately, but long term, you may consider divesting the business. So you have a direct answer from the ICAI mat. That's what we wanted to show it to you. While it might look new to you If you haven't seen the back questions, this is question 6, page 2.5657. Okay, so these were the little value additions that we wanted to do for you. Okay, that's the main idea, focus of our session. Chapter 3, strategic management process. What should be the major components of a good mission statement? Now, good mission statement. Okay, good mission statement, what should be the major components? Now, ideally, firstly, you get this part. Okay, this is on page number 3.10. If you will notice, page 3.10, you had this good mission statement should be precise, clear, etc, etc, etc. So that is one thing. Okay, that is one thing that should be there. Now, one of the roles of a mission statement to give the organization special identity of its own. It should be something that company business is defined by what needs it is trying to satisfy, what technology and competencies are we doing, and what activities we're performing. And lastly, good mission statement should be unique to the organization for which they are developed. Okay, mission statement should not be copy pasted, it should be unique for the organization. Mission statements should give a special identity for the organizations, and mission statements should define what kind of competencies and skills we are trying to achieve. Now, this is exactly the same answer, but with a little twist that they have for this part. Okay, also, now if you notice, chapter 3 at the end also, there's a question. What is a mission statement? What points should be considered while writing a mission statement? What points should be considered while writing a mission statement? And the following points should be considered while writing a mission statement. This is the answer that they have given. Now, if you will notice, 3 points are same. Okay, a little wording reframe, but 3 points are same. The 4th point is new. The mission should not be to make profit. You will earn profit, but your mission should not be to earn a profit. Now, ideally, RTP's answer, they have given these 4 points. If this question comes in the examination, the examiner will have these 4 points. Even if you write the perfect answer, from the ICI MAT, the main chapter part, you will write the 3 points, but the examiner will have 4 points with them. So, which is why you should be reading the back questions. That is again the point that I'm trying to say here. 3.26, you had the same question available. Okay, but again, just trying to tell you that you have to do the back questions. That is important for SM specially. Explain briefly the key areas in which the strategic planner should concentrate his mind to achieve desired results. Now, this was a tricky question. This is a tricky question. Key areas in which the strategic planner has to concentrate his mind to achieve desired results. Now, if you look at chapter 3, it was about vision, mission, and objectives. Okay, and the desired results represent the objectives. Key areas where the strategic planner should concentrate. Okay, goals and objectives. Now, within goals and objectives, there was a topic, very small part of it, long-term objectives. To achieve long-term prosperity, strategic planners should establish long-term objectives in 7 areas. To achieve long-term prosperity, this is page 3.16 of the MAT. To achieve long-term prosperity, strategic planners have to establish objectives in 7 areas: profitability, productivity, positions, competitive positions. So your objective should be profitability. What profitability you wish to achieve? How much productivity levels do you wish to achieve? What competitive position in terms of market share that you wish to achieve? Employee development, how do you wish to conduct that in the organizations? Employee relationships, how do you wish to improve in the organization? You should have objectives, targets, numeric targets. Technology leadership, how do you wish to achieve? What kind of targets are you setting for yourself? And public responsibilities, for that, what are your objectives and targets? So this topic was based upon page 3.15. Okay, But again, a topic that you have to be careful about, because it's not that something that you can directly answer looking at the question, not that easy to answer. Okay, a little tricky one. Write a short note on merger and acquisition strategy, a direct question from the book. This is chapter 4, 4.13, mergers and acquisitions. Okay, so you have to write a normal. In our book we have a paragraph on what are mergers, what are acquisitions, what is the difference between merger and acquisitions, how is that an important way of business growing externally. Just write a note on that. Okay. Airlines industry in India is highly competitive with several players. Businesses face severe competition. Luxury Jet is a private Delhi-based company with a fleet of 9 aircrafts with seating capacity ranging from 6 to 9 seats. These aircrafts are chartered by big business houses and high net worth individuals for their personalized use. With customized tourism packages, these aircrafts are also often hired by foreigners. Identify and explain the Michael Porter's generic strategy followed by Luxury Jet. First thing that you should understand, this is a topic question from chapter 5. This is not chapter 4. Okay, this is a question from chapter 5 because it talks about Michael Porter's generic strategy. Even though it is given in your RTP as a question from chapter 4, but this is a chapter 5 question, Michael Porter's generic strategies. Now, which strategy of Michael Porter are we talking about? You have to understand that this is definitely not a low cost service that we are talking about. Okay, so immediately cost leadership and focus cost leadership is eliminated. This is differentiation, but this is a differentiation for only a segment of people. Why? Because customized tourism packages are offered for foreigners, and these are chartered services for only big business house and high net worth individuals. So what we are offering as a service is for exclusively a selected class of people, and this is not for everyone, which automatically means this is a focused differentiation strategy where I'm segmenting and focusing on a particular segment and offering a differentiated product in that segment. Okay, so this has to be focused differentiation strategy. By the way, this question is as it is available in your book also. Focused differentiation is in the book, page 5.18. And Luxury Jet, airline industries in India. Luxury Jet is a private company, 6 to 9 aircrafts. Michael Porter's as it is, the question is available in your book, page 5.22 of the ICMAT. Okay, so focused differentiation was a strategy to be followed, and page 5.22 is the place where you will find your answer. Chapter 5. Rajiv Arya is owner of an electrical appliance company. Owner of an electrical appliance company that specializes in manufacturing on domestic vacuum cleaners. Okay, it specializes in domestic vacuum cleaners. There are 4 other manufacturers with similar products and sales volumes. Okay, there are 4 other manufacturers with similar products and sales volume. So it's a competitive industry. Rival firms also own a number of patents relating to the product. So we have patents, which means new entrant risk is low. Supplier base is also very large as there are multiple suppliers, so there's no pressure from suppliers. Okay, identify Porter's 5 forces that may be classified as significant for the company. Now 1 minute. Porter's 5 forces: bargaining power of buyer. There's no mention about buyers here. Bargaining power of supplier, there's no pressure at all because there are several suppliers. New entrant, the risk is eliminated because of patents. Substitute products, there is nothing mentioned in this question. The only risk that we have discussed in this question that is applicable will be the risk of existing rivals. Okay, identify the 5 forces that may be classified as significant. So you have to explain this. So you have to first explain Porter's 5 forces model defines the various forces that are applicable on the organization. You then list out there are 5 major forces as per Porter's 5 forces model, which are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You then further move on and then you discuss out of the 5 forces, as per the facts given in the question, the risk of the pressure from suppliers is eliminated because of large number of sellers. There is no information available according to about bargaining power of buyers or substitutes. The risk of new entrants is also reduced drastically because of the pressure from the new entrants is reduced because of the patents available. However, since there are several similar firms available, similar firms with equal sales volumes, that will automatically put a lot of pressure on the organization. So the existing rivals will be putting a lot of pressure on the organization, pressure among the 5 forces of the, as per Michael Porter. That is how you had to write the answer. Okay, 5 forces is given in the chapter 5 right at the start. This is, if I give you the page number of 5 forces, this is 5.8, but obviously this is a general answer relating to entire Porter's 5 forces part of chapter 5. A startup company is thinking of launching of a low cost detergent powder. Okay, it's planning to launch a low cost detergent powder in the market. The market of the said product is already dominated by a big FMCG player. Okay, you are advised to put forward your suggestions to the management of the company to deal with the problems of entry barrier while launching the low cost detergent powder. Okay, so I am entering as a new entrant, and as a new entrant there will be certain barriers to new entry. Okay, so you have chapter 5 Porter's 5 forces. First point, you have all those barriers to new entrant: capital requirements, product differentiation, economies of scale, brand identity, switching cost, access to distribution channels, and possible retaliation by existing players. Now all of those points can be barriers for us. We have to, what you had to write is not the points, not just the points. Now this is again a point question, in fact both these questions are questions where you will have to put a little bit of head. Why? In this question, you don't have to just list the 5 forces. You have to advise the management on how to deal with the problems of 5 forces of the entry barriers. So you have to list the barriers, and how can the management deal with those barriers. In this case, you have to mention. So let's say if I have capital requirements, I have to ensure that I have sufficient capital. Okay, as a new entrant, I may not be able to provide economies of scale, so I have to ensure that my costs are reasonably low enough. So that ways you have to mention barriers. That's what they're wanting to test you with, but they also want you to explain how you will resolve those barriers to new entrants. Okay, for this, first we'll refer ICI MAT. In the book, the question was given how you can create barriers, not how you can deal with the barriers. Okay, in the book the answer was given how you can create barriers, not how you can deal with the barriers. The barriers topic was given to us in page 5.5. These were the barriers that were given to us. This is page 5.5. Okay, so the barriers are given in 5.5. The answer to both the questions 15 and 16 that they've given in the RTP, we will discuss with you. Okay, let's discuss the answer first actually with you before we move on to the next set of questions. The rest of the answers have been all direct, so we have been able to discuss the answer, and that is why we have not gone on to discuss the RTP answer with you. 15 and 16 I still want to discuss the RTP answer with you because the answer is slightly different to what we normally would have thought. The competitive rivalry will be a significant force in case of company of Rajiv Arya, as all the rivals are similar in size and are manufacturing similar products. It is difficult for any single manufacturer to dominate the market. Large number of patents will make it difficult for new entrants to break into the market. Further, since there are large number of small suppliers, the suppliers can exert pressure is low. There is no information relating to substitutes and bargaining power of customers in the information given. However, a domestic vacuum cleaner will compete with housemaid. So this is where you apply your general knowledge. It's a vacuum cleaner company, so it will be competing with housemaids. Availability of housemaids can significantly disturb the sales of products. Further, as the products are similar, customers can easily shift from one company to another. This will only enhance competitive rivalry. This will increase the rivalry amongst them. The competitive rivalry will be significant in Rajiv Arya's dealing industry, as all rivals are similar in size, manufacture similar products, making it difficult for anyone to dominate the market. When you have one leader, rivalry is lesser, but when you don't have a clear leader, rivalry is higher. That's what they're trying to say here, that since there's no leader, rivalry will be higher. The large number of patents will make it hard for new entrants to break into the market. While the fact that Rajiv Arya buys from a large number of suppliers suggests that the supply power is also low. Finally, there is no information relating to substitutes and bargaining power of customers in the given information scenario. See how they have clearly followed the strategy of writing 2 lines, then the 4 lines, then another same 2 lines. But we will obviously not write the same 2 lines. Keep repeating it. Don't do that part, please. That's what ICAI does, and you should not be doing. Okay. There are a number of factors that can act as an entry barrier for the startup company. An FMCG big in size is already dominating the market space and will act as a strong deterrent for the new startup. Are you with me? Okay. So amongst the barriers, the first fact is that you already have an FMCG large company that is already there in the market. The following will be some of the suggestions to the management. Some of the suggestions. The company is working on producing low cost detergent. Keeping other expenses also on the lower side can create price advantage that is competitive. Okay. Otherwise, established players may create a barrier with low cost. But since we are producing a low cost product, if other costs are not high, then we can easily compete in the markets. The company is focusing on a single product in comparison to multiple products of an FMCG. The company is focusing on a single product in comparison to multiple products of an FMCG. Can develop competencies to produce and sell the low cost detergent. Okay, so since we are entering with one product, we can create more specialization and skills in that product that addresses needs of multiple products. The startup needs to have strong financial strength to sustain the onslaught from the dominant FMCG. We need strong financial strength, strong capital. We have to identify sources of capital well in advance and use it judiciously, because we will need strong capital to be able to sustain. The startup should identify the customer segments that are likely to switch to the product well in advance so as to target the same and generate the initial hold on the market. So in a market, I cannot target everyone at the outset. Okay, so there will be a segment of the market that I would be first targeting. Which segment are you targeting? You should be highlighting that right at the outset, and then you will expand into other segments. The startup should identify the environmental factors that go to their advantage. Government schemes. This is again generic content. Tax holidays, low interest rates, advantage available to SMEs. It has to create an image in the market that it produces made in India to attract segment. Okay, that is another thing that you can do. Again, facts that you are using, not expressly mentioned, but we are using. Okay, they need to have a team of experts and dedicated management professionals to implement strategies formulated by the top management. While making a good strategy is only half the work done, you also need to implement the strategy well, and for that you need to ensure that you have a good team available, is what he is trying to tell you here. Next set of questions coming up. Last parts. Chapter 6. Projected financial statement analysis is central strategy implementation technique. Justify the statement. Projected financial statements within financial strategy, within finance strategy, you had to 4 main things that you had to do. The second part was projected financial statements. So there we have the discussions that you have to first make the projected financial statements. Based upon the projected financial statements, you will do the utilization of funds. Hence, that is going to be an important role while we make our financial strategies. It's given in page 6.15. Easy question, more or less direct question. It's a line from the book itself. So it's relatively easy. It's about the first and second para of projected financial statements point. Modern marketing is highly promotion oriented. Discuss major direct promotional methods for products. Promotional methods, you have door-to-door selling, you have publicity, advertisement and sales promotion. 4 points that you have direct. Page 6.8, a direct question. Again, these two were direct questions from the book. A strategy supportive culture promotes good strategy execution. Again, it's a line from the book, explained directly, it's there. So strategy and culture, if they are not in line, then it can be a problem for the business that can restrict, hinder our implementation of the strategies. It may create situations where the entire strategy may fail. All that lines are there in the book. Okay, page number for reference is 7.24 of ICI Mat. Okay, again a direct question, so not going into the right answer, you will directly get it in that is 7.24 only. Just confirm. 6.15, 6.8 also. Summer Electronics Limited is engaged in manufacturing and sale of consumer electronic goods globally. The company is rated best in customer satisfaction survey for 5 years in a row. The spread of the pandemic has affected the internal and external environment of the company adversely. Such adverse impact has negatively impacted the revenue of the company. Okay, so company was very good, it was doing very well, and suddenly because of the pandemic, the internal external environment has got adversely affected. It has negatively impacted the revenues of the company. In order to survive and retain the business, the company decided to outsource a major part of its organizational activities like manufacturing, distribution channels, after sales, etc. Major parts. Okay, now the organization's business are scattered worldwide with a small headquarters connected to independent business users units. Are you now getting which way it is going? Okay, so you have a small headquarter that is connected with independent units scattered all over. What type of organizational structure are we talking about? You should have got it by now. It's a network structure. List the basic features of this new structure and the disadvantages that the company may face in the future with this structure. So this is a network structure that you're talking about. Okay, 7.17, and the characteristics are here. The disadvantages is, I think, next page, the last paras. Yeah, the disadvantages. Okay, that's the disadvantages part. So 7.17. Okay, that's the part. Coming to the chapter 8 questions. Zumba Robots, an electronic robot manufacturing company, is a leader in the business segment. Over a period of time, it started losing its grip on the market. It's a market leader losing its grip on the market as its overall position started to weaken. Discuss the type of audit that you would like to suggest to analyze the situation. You obviously know the answer. It's an SM paper. You don't have any other audit that you're discussing in this syllabus. Okay, this is strategy audit. So you do a strategy audit that's going to be covered in chapter 8. Strategy audit is 8.15. Okay, strategy audit is what you have to do. What is strategic control? Explain the different types of strategic control. So you may have a premise control, a surveillance control, special alert control, implementation controls. You have 4 points. Strategic control is 8.13, and types of strategic controls just below that onwards. 8.1314. Again, a direct question. So the last parts were a little direct questions. That's the RTP for you. A couple of things please pay attention to. Few things that post this RTP, you should be seeing the back questions for sure. In current plus last 2 terms RTPs, I generally suggest people to see and go for the examinations, because some of such 1-2 questions that we saw in this paper, couple of them you can see from the last couple of terms, and you are better equipped to handle such case studies. That's what you should do for case studies, nothing else. A lot of times people ask, what do we do for case studies? Nothing extraordinary. Most of the case study, the answers are from ICI MAT only, so studying that is more than enough. Apart from that, a couple of current plus last 2 terms RTPs if you're seeing, and the MTPs if you're seeing, it's more than enough. It's a comprehensive preparations that you're doing. Okay, you should be seeing the ICI back questions. That is what you should be seeing. You should be seeing these RTPs, and the couple of questions that you would have seen a little tricky, and the answers that you should have seen and that you should see and go. So you know, if the question comes verbatim or almost verbatim with just a name change, you can easily handle those questions. And apart from that, you should also have got an idea that, you know, you should read the book carefully, because a lot of times they're picking up one sentence from the book and creating questions, or giving that as a sentence in the case study, and basis that asking questions. So if you have not read those lines, then answering those questions will be relatively difficult for you. So I would strongly suggest read the ICI MAT carefully, go through the RTPs of the current and the last couple of terms. That will be enough for your preparation strategy for EIS and SM. EIS will always be direct questions, so don't take too much hassles. Finish the content part, that is more than enough. The questions will always be more direct from that part. EIS may sound more trickier and difficult while you prepare, but it's always the easier to answer when you write in the exams. SM may feel much more easier when you're preparing, but SM will always be a little more tricky when you are answering the questions in the examination hall. That was our discussions about the RTP. I hope you found the RTP discussions useful and helpful for you. Prepare well for your exams. All the best. Do well. And we hope that you clear your exams with flying colors. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.